Okay, so I've been taking an online class on interpersonal communication this semester because I thought I could meet my communications requirement without having to do group projects since it was online. But I was wrong, and now here you guys are. Thank you very much for listening to me while I talk about what it is to get or to learn or go through communication skills training. So what it is, communication skills training is about learning ways to build your interpersonal relationships with the people we interact with on a daily basis, like your family, friends, and coworkers, and you learn how to communicate, or we strengthen our relationships through communication by going through the training. So for me, when I very first started taking the class, we all had to take an assessment to see where our skills were as far as our communication goes. And on most aspects I scored average, but on group communication skills I was way below average, which I completely agree with because I feel very uncomfortable talking in groups, a little bit like right now. So this is what I've been working on all semester. And through the reading, I realized that sometimes when I'm in group conversations, I kind of over talk people. Like when somebody's talking, I'll just jump in and start talking. And that's actually called monopolizing, which is considered to be rude. And I think that might be kind of why I feel nervous and anxious while I'm talking in group settings. So what I've been doing is working on being a more mindful listener and just sitting back and listening to the people talk instead of interjecting while they're talking. And it's actually helping me be a lot less anxious while I'm talking in group settings just by listening to other people. So that's the big thing I was working on this semester. But the class, I also learned a few other really helpful things, like as far as dealing with my husband and conflict resolution. The biggest thing that we learned for that is I and you language, where if you start off by saying something to like your husband, like you never help me with the dishes, or you never take out the trash, or you always do this, it makes the other person on the other end very defensive, and that can lead to a back and forth fight, which eventually will turn into what is called kitchen sinking, where people go back and forth and they throw all the history of the whole relationship into the argument. And that doesn't create very good, helpful communication between partners. So instead we're working on using I language, where, well, the other thing with you language is you're putting your feelings off onto somebody else, like they're in control of your feelings. And you're the only person that's in control of your feelings. So when you use I language, you're owning your feelings towards other people. So instead of saying like, you never help me with the trash, you can say, I feel like I could use some help with the trash, which would not put the other person into a defensive position. So that helps with conflict resolution and skills. And let's see, students. And then another thing is everybody could benefit from taking communication skills training because I'm getting so nervous right now, totally shaky hands. But anyway, everyone can benefit from communication skills training because it teaches people how to build stronger relationships with all the people that they interact with in their lives. Communication skills training teaches the right way to manage conflicts with spouses and friends and coworkers, which is really important, especially in the workplace too, knowing how to navigate the people you're working with. And it teaches guidelines for improving not just your verbal communication skills, but also your nonverbal communication skills, which are actually a huge part of the way that we communicate. So even if we're saying one thing, our face can say another. So it's important to make sure that we monitor our nonverbal communication as well. And one of the biggest reasons that I feel that it is beneficial to take the class is to be able to know the right way to communicate, to model to our children, so that when they grow up they have a good foundation for how to communicate in their everyday lives and are able to grow strong interpersonal relationships. And that's all I've got. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen to my speech for my communications class.
Good job.
Thank you. And then piano.